I bid you welcome.
But yeah, I mean, all of society, right? So you're born into this reality, and when you get old enough, then you got to go through conditioning. So they send you to
Mm.
school to be conditioned and programmed, and then you leave school, and then you get pushed out into the factories, the workhouses,
Mm.
the workhouses, which ultimately benefit the economy more than they benefit you. And then you have more kids, which follow the same cycle, and then you die. So essentially, you're born into slavery. You're born into you're
I
shackled from day one.
bringing up an interesting thing there. When I was younger, I was at school, and I did a lot of the social and economic history. I took that for a couple of years, and I found it quite interesting. I like to learn about the Industrial Revolution and its negative effects and positive effects on the country and on stuff. And we went to a place which is a museum, and it was a Victorian workhouse which has been turned into a museum, and it was originally a mill. I think it was a cotton mill or something like that. They used to make silks and stuff. They used to put kids on the looms and stuff like that. And basically, if you were a member of the society that had nothing, you could go into the workhouse, or if you had a debtor's prison, you would go into the workhouse and work your debt off, or you would work in the workhouse to get money, to get food, and you would it's when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, I couldn't really appreciate what I was experiencing. But we went into these vast areas, and the size of football fields, they were huge, where these looms would be, where they were, making this silks and stuff to export all around the world. And then we went into the cubicle areas where whole families, literally, if you could imagine their small area, maybe the size of your home toilet, and you would have a family of 6 to 8 people which would live in there.
Yeah.
And the reason that these areas were so small was because not all the family would be in there all the time, because they would work in shifts.
Yeah.
The children would be in there and work for 6 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and then the father would be, and I just thought to myself, it was all really it was like, as you say, it was like a working prison. It was like, if you weren't there, then you would be on the streets and you would die because you couldn't feed yourself or whatever. But it was a real reality, a real wake-up call when you think back and you look at the stuff. And these people, as you say, they weren't deemed as people. They were just deemed as assets to make the rich people even richer.
Well, most companies, most companies, when they look at the people that work for them, they don't look at them as people. They're assets, right?
Yeah,
They're I mean, when you look at every big company has an HR department, right? And the HR stands for human resources, which is essentially like our assets, human resources. Think about the words human resources. They're there to manage the cattle, right? To manage the assets, and the fact that companies, with the just the snap of fingers can let go of people, thousands of people or hundreds of people from a corporation or a business or whatever, and they're just gone with no thought or impact of how this is going to devastate people's lives. Tells you that they don't think of them as people. They think of them as assets, and the number one thought is the success of the company, right?
Yeah.
The company,
the shareholders.
The shareholders, that's what they're working for, not the people, even though the people are an integral part of the system. If you take the people out of the system stops. And it goes on like that. But yeah, I think we're trapped in this, and most people don't even think about it, right? They say, well, this is just the way it is, and this is what we got to do, and that's all there is to it. There's no thought of another way or another. Could there be another way? The people that buck the system and have their mindset on doing something that they want to do, and that's all there is to it. Fuck everything else. They either become incredible successes and make enormous amounts of money, or they end up homeless and dying in poverty. And I think that the vast majority of people who buck the system and fight for what they believe in and what they want to do end up homeless and dying in poverty. And a tiny, tiny, tiny minority change everything and push the world forward a little bit.
Or they just end up becoming alcoholics and killing themselves.
Well, that too. but that too. But it's like, if from, so let's just say from a young age, you wanted to be an artist, you wanted to paint, and everything else was irrelevant to you. You had a talent, you wanted to paint, and that was all there was to it. And your parents are like, well, you got to go to college, you got to do this, you got to learn this, so you got to get a job, you got to feed yourself. And you're like, no, I'm an artist, I'm a painter, I will paint for the, that's your thing. And you're incorrigible, fuck everything else, all I'm going to do is paint shit. So there's a chance that you're going to paint something and you're going to be in the right place at the right time, and you're going to be fucking set for life. But in reality, you're probably going to have a hard life being very poor.
And a bedroom full of unsold paintings.
Exactly.